Hello everyone. In today's session, I will continue from my previous video. There was a demonstration in which I fetched some of the data from D365 Finance and Operation, and using the synchronous method, that is using the OData framework. OData is an open data framework which allows you to pick the real-time data from Dynamics 365 using existing DMF or data management framework, which contains data entities. And data entities, as I mentioned in my previous videos, are denormalized forms of various tables behind it. I mean the various tables which are available in the Dynamics 365 to store the persistent data. So we can use DMF, data management framework, to use it as a synchronous method using OData, and using batch API, which is asynchronous method, or there are other methods as well available for asynchronous. Asynchronous means nothing, just to have a scheduled batch or recurrence based batch process through which on a scheduled time you can push or pull the data from Dynamics 365. So this is a continuation video from my previous video based upon OData framework in order to move the data from OData to any OLE DB based database or destination. So I use in my previous video SQL Server as a destination OLE DB database, and I use OData source. This is basically integration services, SQL SQL integration services, in which I have defined a data flow basically inside an SSIS package, which is SQL Server Integration Service package. And you can see on the right hand side within Solution Explorer, there is a PMIS package, which is a Project Management Information System package. Actually, the work done here is in order to get certain data entity. For example, I have used here project management and accounting modules project data entity. Project data entity contains all the information related with the project. So by using that one, I used only 3 fields: project ID, project name, and data area ID. Data area ID is a company name basically, so that I use in order to test the scenario. So in my previous video, that was a simple straightforward method how to insert for the first time all the records from project data entity to the OLE DB destination, that is an SQL Server based DB and table, in which I wrote a few all of the records from my source input, that is OData source, that is Dynamics 365, using DMF in synchronous method. So in today's video, there is a refinement or enhancement done in order to basically use to insert only the delta, and as well as whenever the first time the data entity is written, that will also be taken care. The second scenario is like if you have first time wrote all the records and now there are new records, so you need to insert those new records. So this is the second scenario which will be taken care of. And then there will be third scenario in which the existing projects are being updated in existing data entity, that is a project data entity in this case. But this you can use for any of the data entity available in Dynamics 365 whenever you need certain data of Dynamics 365 to be available for a third party system in order to consume their data. So you can use the same technique to consume the data externally to D365. So this is a simple data flow diagram or configuration in which you can define this data flow in SQL Server integration services. So by using this, you can easily schedule this package then, and then this package will be executed on a specific time whenever you need it. So now what is defined in OData source? So I will just show you. This is basically from Dynamics 365 end. Last time I drag and drop it to OLE DB destination only, but now here I have refined the whole data flow that I will show you. So basically we talked about to define an O data source, which is Dynamics 365 FO, finance and operation, and I defined credentials as well. And then I discuss about collection and resource path. Either of the configuration you can choose. In resource path, you can easily put whatever the word after slash is data entity name. So base URL you can define, and then you can define the actual data entity name, which will be placed as a slash. So this is resource path. In collection, you can choose in the lookup available whatever collection, but that is not alphabetically sorted, so I did not use that one. I use this one, which is more simpler. Then the columns which are needed only need to be picked because of efficiency. I mean the performance issues. You should only choose whatever the columns you are in need of. So here I chose data area ID, project ID, and then there was a project name at the end. So I selected these three columns. So these external columns means in Dynamics 365, and now output column means whatever will be available in this node. So this is what I selected in O data source. Then in this I can show you in this data flow I have used the sort component here from the toolbox, and sort component does not only do the sorting of the previous fields. So whatever fields you can put here as input column, like data area ID is the main column, because whenever you change the company, data area ID is changed within the Dynamics 365. For example, now I am in USMF data entity, legal entity, but you can choose this to any other entity, then the data area ID will be changed. So the same is true here. So first level of sorting will be data area ID, then the second level will be the project ID. This is just a demonstration purpose, so you can choose as per your need. So sort order will be first sort order on data area ID, and the second sort order will be project ID in ascending order. So the same sort component I have used also on the other part. The other part, what it does basically, this is OLE DB source instead of OLE DB destination. In my previous video I have selected OLE DB destination. So this time I selected OLE DB source. So there is nothing changed, but only in my previous video I have selected a DB called PMIS DB, which I myself created, and then I created one of the table which contains these three columns. I can show you project ID, project name, and data area ID. The length of this is also defined. N varchar type means string type, variable character type 20, 60, and 4. Not null means it is mandatory to fill it up. So these were three columns which I defined in my previous video as well. So I define OLE DB source being this table from this database. So I can show you in edit mode. You can see here OLE DB connection manager, which defines to be SQL Server as a destination, and then I selected the table as a project, and then the column project ID, project name, and data area ID are selected here. That's it. Then the sorting is applied here, and sorting should be the same as on the left hand side, so that both I can match later on. So data area ID is on a sort order level 1 and project ID is on a sort order level 2. So this is same. So after this I have used a component called merge join, which gives you an option of just like in SQL Server you can select multiple kind of joins. So similar is here. In merge join you can use a left outer join, and left outer joins means on the left hand side of table will be compared on the right hand side table, and it will pick all the records on the left hand side against all the records on the right hand side. So all the records on the left hand side will be picked, but it will give us the records against the null values on the right hand side. So this is left outer join. Inner join is also available, and the full outer join is also available, which will give all of the combination instead of just like left table combination on the right hand side, even if there are null records against the ID values. And inner join will give you the common records in both of the tables. So I have selected here left outer join because on the right hand side there is a possibility that on the left hand table, which is coming from Dynamics 365, if new records are inserted, so those will not be available on the right hand side, means the destination is the table available on the database. So that's why left outer join will be used here. And then okay, so there are other properties which also need to be selected. I will just show you. Okay, here you can see the order. Data area ID is on a one order level, and here also on one order level. And you need to select all the fields here on the left table as well as on the right hand side. And the order should also be same. So here project ID is on 2 level and project name is on a 0 level. And then okay, this is the join key, which is data area ID as well as project ID. Okay, so now I will show you. Okay, so now there is a conditional split, and what it does basically, it checks whether the records need to be inserted or the records need to be updated. So I will show you. Okay, so the first of all, the insert condition is just like if the project ID is null. So this project ID, which is in capital, is on the right hand side of table, and as you can see here, this is the all caps are on the right hand side table, and whatever the field names are in running, those are on the left hand side. So this is left hand side field that is coming from Dynamics 365, and this capitals is on the right hand side, means the destination table. So I am comparing here if by using the is null operator, which is available in null function, you can use here, you can drag and drop here, just like I will show you. If you drop here, then this is expression, and in expression you can then drag this field here, and this will be the condition here. So this is how I have put it here. I will delete it. So I have compared for the insert output name, if the project ID is null on the right hand side field value, so means if project ID on right hand side is null against the value on the left hand side, then go ahead and insert the record. And then I have checked if it is not null, means if there is some value on the right hand side table, then just update it. You can replace this condition by a modified date and time by comparing modified date and time if it is available on both the tables. So you can just compare with the modified date and time. If it is not equal, then only update it. But now I have used irrespective of modified date and time, only I have checked if project ID is existing on the right hand side table, just then update. So this will always update. So if you want to use other operators, those are available here, and you can use equal to sign or unequal sign if you want to compare the two fields. So anyhow, so these are two conditions which I just showed you. And then in the insert operator, you can go to the OLE DB destination, and this is just like same in my previous video to have a destination of SQL server, which I have defined in OLE DB connection manager, then table or view, and then I have selected the project table which is available, and keep identity, table lock, and check constants. And then the mapping is here. That is very important. Here I have selected the OData in which the running is on from the Dynamics 365. So you can see here. So this data area ID in running is coming from Dynamics 365, and it is being assigned to the capital letter field, which is in SQL Server destination. And same is for project ID. and then it is for project name. So this is our OLE DB destination for insert. And for update, I have used OLE DB command, which is also available on left hand side toolbox here, and you can just drag and drop and just change it. So in OLE DB command, you can insert an SQL statement, which I will show you. In component properties, you can go, and in SQL command, you can mention here an SQL command, just like this: update and PMIS DB, DB name, dot schema name, and dot the table name, which is project table. I can show you here. So dbo.project is the table, and this one is destination. So you can put db this PMIS DB dot dbo.project. So in this way, you can use the update statement, which is SQL statement of update, and then set project name equals to question mark, which is a parameter name. This is parameter 1, and then where data area ID is question mark means parameter 2, and project ID question mark parameter 3. I will just show you what are these parameters. So there are 3 parameters here. There are question mark here, so these are parameters. So it will be in sequence. So first one is here, second is after data area ID, and the third one is project ID. So there are 2 clauses to give a filter or where clause, and then to assign a value to project name. So after this SQL statement, you can go to column mapping, and here you can see whatever number of question mark you have put in SQL command. So the same number of parameters will be available here, and then I can make it like what will be the parameter 0. So if you remember, the first parameter was for project name. So I have assigned here project name in running. That means initial capital project name. So this is coming from Dynamics 365. Obviously, if you want to update on destination of SQL database, you need to update it from Dynamics 365, because that will be changed. So project name will be assigned to parameter 0, and parameter 1 was data area ID. So data area ID of Dynamics 365 will be used, and in parameter 2 the project ID will be used in where clause. So these parameter 1 and 2 will be used in where clause, whereas parameter 0 will be used in set clause of update statement. So same is mentioned here. I will again show you parameter 0. You can see this is parameter 0, this is parameter 1, and this is parameter 2. So this will automatically, once you map it, automatically it will be placed here. So I think that's it. And so once I have done all these changes, now it is time to test this logic, and for that you can just start the project. And what it will do, I will just show you. Now there are no records in this table, and as soon I execute this data flow, so you will see the insertion will happen. And since in update condition, there is no condition of comparison of modified date and time, otherwise only based upon that condition the updates will be executed for specific records. So that will be more suitable instead of updating everything. But here I have done update to everything wherever the project ID is not null, means there is some project existing in the target database. Okay, you can see also the execution here once it is done, and you can go to the execution of execution progress. Here also it will show you. Okay, so now it is still running, and no, you can see here 197 rows have been written. And if you go to data flow, also you can see in insert 197 rows have been written. In update there was nothing, because on the right hand side table there was no records already. So once records are there and project ID is filled, then only it will happen. So now if I execute it, you can see there are 197 rows available here. So what will happen if I insert a new project and if I modified an existing project? So I will just show you. So I will just change this project and give it a rename to, and I will embed project ID with the name of project, and I will save it, and also I will create a new project. Okay, and here I will put a name to project, and 286 is project ID. I will select any contract ID. Okay, and I will create the project. So this is 286 number project, and now if you execute at this time, there will be no change. 197 rows are there, and now what I will do is I will rerun the data flow. I will restart the data flow. Now this time a new record will be inserted along with update to the existing rows. So all the rows will be updated. If you put any condition, for example, modified date and time, then only those selected rows will be updated where modified date and time is changed. It seems the project has executed the data flow and still executing, and so you can see here the new records written is one row, and the remaining you can go to data flow. So here you can see that there were 198 rows from Dynamics 365, and from SQL destination it was 197 rows. So then at the bottom you can see the merge join by left outer was 198 rows, meaning by the left table was completely included. On the right hand side, whatever the rows were matching were included, and then the new row was inserted against which there was no record on the right hand side table, and then on the left hand side all were updated based upon 197 previous rows. So we will just also check here by executing the SQL statement once more, and you can see here the number 286 was the new number. So the 198 rows are now available, and you can see here that the number 286 is available here. So this is the new record, and if you go, there was another project which we changed the name. We'll just select which one we changed it. So that was 57. So here you can see the name is changed and it is correctly updated. So this is how we completed this data flow in by using SQL Server integration services, and this is a simple data flow task which will keep updating a data entity from DMF using OData framework, and it will target any of OLE DB destination. Can be SQL Server, can be any of other OLE DB compatible destination. So this is for so far for this video, and I will target more videos on data management framework. So stay tuned. Thank you very much.